Now, when I was at Scangroup still, remember I ended up working again with Lona Irungu.
Yes.
Lona Irungu was transitioning from Carnivore.
Yeah.
So when Lona Irungu wanted to leave Carnivore, she called me and told me, I have recommended you, among others, for this jobo. So I'd like you to come in and interview for this jobo. Then, I can't even remember if I went in for an actual interview, but one of the people who had been recommended had something, had points above me, like had other strengths above me. But the major strength that this person had was experience on radio. Now, so you know how this world is small and how entertainment is interconnected. I didn't get the job at Carnivore at that time, but the person who got the job at Carnivore at that time is somebody who left their job at Capital FM that I went to fill in. This was a lady called Julie Munyi.
Yeah.
So Julie Munyi was the events manager at Capital FM before me.
Yeah.
So she left and went to Carnivore to be the entertainment manager. 2 years down the road, when I was leaving Capital, or rather, while I was still at Capital, she called me and told me, it's your time. So when she left, then I went.
You just only where is she right now? Maybe that's where you're headed.
No, she's no. She went into private business, family business. I think she's even based in Mombasa now.
Okay, let me ask you another question, just because before we close this Capital chapter, it's the Carnivore chapter. When you were at Capital, did you work with Amani?
When I was at Capital, I think at that point, in fact, thank you for reminding me. When I was at Capital, I worked with, that's when I hooked up with Doreen, really from a business perspective, and we worked together. So when I was at Capital, the things that I was not able to do while at Capital, Doreen is the one who used to do them under the company. So we had an office somewhere on Koinange Street, Ukoju. I can't remember the name of it.
Hold on, so you and Doreen entered into a business relationship?
No. It's like she was it started out as her being my employee.
Yes.
But she was more than that.
I get what you mean.
You know.
I get.
And so she used to do stuff under Abstract Limited. Even when she was managing Amani, now she got into managing Amani day to day.
Yes.
Because I wasn't able to.
Yes.
And then we had an arrangement whereby the company would do some things, but then also she would do her own thing.
I get it.
She would still use the business name, like to invoice and things like that.
Yeah. Well, because Amani in her story said she started also working at Capital FM.
Amani worked at Capital FM. Was it before or after me? I think Amani worked after me.
Okay.
At Capital FM.
Okay.
Way after me, yeah.
So let's talk then about this transition from where they are now, from Capital into
Carnivore.
Yeah. If you are to summarize your time at Capital first and foremost, Capital is a powerhouse or was a powerhouse in terms of the impact that they had on radio. When they bump your song, you're made. They created events that are memorable, and that's a place that you are. So if you were to close the chapter on this, what would you say was your...
Capital was a fun place to work. In fact, a lot of friends used to wonder, like, do you guys really work? Because Capital, the beauty about Capital was, because of the young team and even young management, there was a lot of times when people were open to experimenting. See something like telling you, we're going to do a road show as Capital FM in the US, and you make it work. At Capital, we actually had a lot of learnings. Capital is that one place where you also used to look forward to Friday, because Friday was free dressing,
yes.
And we always used to wear branded Capital FM proudly. And at Capital, there was hardly any Friday where the evening would not end into a party somewhere. So Capital was a very fun place to work. And unknown to many people, Capital also had discipline, a lot of discipline. Like I'll give you an example. At Capital FM, the reporting time was 8:30. There's a guard at the gate on 19th floor.
Yeah.
If you didn't make it by 8:30, you have to chill outside and wait for Cyrus Kamau, the GM, to let you in.
Yo.
And to let you in, you have to go to his office and to explain why you were late, you know.
Nice.
So yani there used to be a mad rush to ensure you get into the office by 8:30. So it was Nini. Oh, Capital FM, I got my first car accident. Okay, it wasn't a major accident, but it was one of those trips where we're going on we're doing the Coca-Cola football thing.
Yes.
And I remember this time I was going to Nyeri Meru. And I got to Meru, and there's a place in Meru where they just, you know, and it had started getting dark, and some lorry blinded me. I tried to flash to get him to turn down his lights, nothing. And I was driving slowly, and that was the advantage. But by the time this lorry passed me, it was too late to see me going into a ditch. So my car landed like this. I didn't get a single scratch because I was belted up. But by the time I managed to come out of the car, some things from my car had flown out. Because what had happened just before that is I'd stopped at the Nakumat in Meru at that point, bought a few things. When I put them in my suitcase was in the back seat. I didn't close my suitcase. So when I got the accident, some things flew out, like one door opened. So guys scrambling. I lost a lot of things, including I was carrying cash, I think about 100 and something thousand that I lost.
Guy, Kenyans, every opportunity is just...
It was company money. So luckily, wrote a report, police report, Nini, Capital had some insurance things.
They got
it back,
Okay. Let's now talk about your time at Carnivore. It's that time, it's not Tamarind Restaurant. No, is there the Tamarind Group?
It's not Tamarind Group.
It's always been
under Tamarind Group.
Okay, let's talk about what are you doing there?
So I was called in as the entertainment manager, and I remember my formal interview was with the GM at that time. I believe now he's the MD and he's one of the directors, Mr. Misumi. And we had a good conversation, and we agreed. He gave me my contract, I signed, then I went and resigned at Capital.
Are you making more money than Capital now this time?
Yeah, I was making more money at
bro,
Capital.
Your story, I love it. Haba na haba hujaza kibaba.
I was making more money at Capital, and then at Carnivore. And then the advantage that also Carnivore had was it had some interesting perks. So as entertainment manager, I had 2 cards. One card was now for me as a manager to spend on food and drinks within Carnivore. And I remember at that time it was actually I had 3 cards. So it was a card it was up to 10,000 bob that when you eat or drink at Carnivore, you'd run that card, but then it's charged at cost price. Just so that there's a system in place where you're not just going to eat freely. And the advantage of also it had was you could use it on family and friends. So I had a lot of instances where family and friends used to come over, and then I had a second card for the entertainment manager, now for meetings. And at least I can say this, the people who enjoyed that card, Styles and Poji, they used to come for meetings at Carnivore. A lot of meetings. And then I had now fuel card. So the perks at Carnivore were good.
The salary
was good.
Better than Capital.
And
did you talk to Chris, by the way, when you were resigning?
Yeah, I talked to him. I talked to him, and he was not happy when I was leaving. He asked me why I was leaving. I told him that before I got to Capital, I'd actually been called to Carnivore, and I'd really wanted to work there, but one of the things that they told me is I didn't have radio experience, or rather media experience. But now that I have it, and now I'm at a place where I feel like what now we are doing at Capital is more repetitive than new stuff, then I wanted to grow. So he told me, go out there and grow. But then he told me also that if you ever want to come back, the door is always open. You have my direct number.
You know, I saw you, and I want you to just touch a bit about this because I saw you at his house.
Yes.
Where signing the book and just, of course, paying your sending your condolences. But I want you to speak about the importance of not burning bridges and how it has helped you.
Let me tell you, a lot of if you go through my whole story, you'll find that I keep on coming back to some very common names. It's very important that you don't burn bridges, and it's also very important that, and this I think is largely my story with someone like Monali, and you'll see in when we get to that point. Monali was my boss twice in my life. Yes. And we'll talk about that. But the instances when Monali was my boss, we used to fight. We used to fight. We used to argue. Okay, not physical fight, but we used to fight. You know, we argue.
You disagree.
We disagree. But because of where we've come from, and because Monali knew me before I was married, before kids, and I knew her from me when I was at HomeBoyz, picking her up from her house. So I know her brothers, I know her mother, I know her dad. And we used to be very careful about separating work and friendship. So we would argue. I would get annoyed at her, but when we finish a certain topic, there'd be a pause, and then we go like, "How's your dad?" You know.
Yeah.
So we always had that rapport until now. And for me, I've found it very important. A lot of people who I've spoken about in my journey, I'm still friends with up to today, and we still talk to the point of, can we do this? Can we do this? We may not work together, but we'll always consult on a project here and there.
Yeah, I like, it was so funny to see Talia commenting on your post, and later on going to find out that story. Yes, it was actually whatever. Go and check it. This, that, the other.
In fact, I told you there's a deeper story of what I talked about Talia, but it's hard to tell that story.
Talia, the CTA seat is open. but let me ask this, and this is something that I know about that is specific to Kenyans. So you, just by conversing with you, you don't have this thing in you. So Kenyans are very, and I say this with love, transactional. You get?
I know a lot of people like that.
So what I mean by that is, you see, you've gone to ask Monali how her dad is. Kenyans don't ask how your dad is. Tanzanians do, Ugandans do. Kenyans are like, hey, biashara kama si biashara, tumekosana pap. So what is it about you that wants to form relationships? And what's the importance of that?
Because I've seen the value. There's something, Richie, that I've told you off this camera that is very big. That is very big for me. And it comes from one of the people that I've worked with for a long time. And I've maintained relations with for a long time. And I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to say it, but I've learned the value of those relationships. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I don't even need a third person to tell me the value of that. But let me put a disclaimer. It's okay to have transactional relationships with people, because also we don't have to be friends. We don't have to all be friends. You know, there's an age where you get to where
I'm okay with my friends.
You're okay with the friends you have. Like, You know that phrase of no new friends?
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense with age.
Sam Gishuru said it also in his city about Jack Ma.
Yeah.
You think you're not looking for new friends?
Yeah, you're not looking for new
someone
friends.
to do his business well.
And you still appreciate those who you don't necessarily do business with, but there's value they give in your life. Because there are people who, like if something personal happens to me, there are people who I call who have probably never done business with, but I would rely on them, you know.
Okay.
By the time Pinye was calling me, because of when he got into the accident, we had not done any business really with him, but we had built a friendship. But we were hoping that one day we'll do something together, you know.
I like that.
Yeah, so it just came from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. And also some of the guys that you're mentioning is because they're in the industry and they're famous.
Yes.
Hence, and that's the industry that you're in, entertainment.
Yeah.
Hence why it may not be friendship. You know, you may be saying nameless, and it's the way a guy would say, me, I'm with Karanja here doing business. You get just that these guys are famous. So let's go into Carnivore. So you're entertainment.
So I'm entertainment manager.
What does that entail?
So you're in charge of taking care of mainly the theme nights. The theme nights that Carnivore has, creating new opportunities in terms of maybe new theme nights, managing the relationships that you have, that the Carnivore has in terms of entertainment with sponsors, with media houses, and also coordinating, like say when other people, third parties want to come to Carnivore to do a gig, to do a concert, to do a party, that kind of thing. So
when do you start at Carnivore?
I started at Carnivore in 2008, I believe March. I think it was March. And it was a very interesting experience, especially because my day would start at 10:30 a.m. And then I would run till 3 o'clock, then take a break, and then come back to work at about 7, and then now run through the night up until whatever time that night ends. Then I had Saturday and Sunday daytime free, but sometimes you'd come to work depending on if there was something happening during the day. And then we had Monday free. So in terms of social life, it takes a toll because a lot of times Saturday, Sunday, you're working day and night, especially Saturday. Then the day you're free, guys have gone to work. So I'm free on Monday. Guys have gone to work. Secondly, you have to wear the uniform. You know, that khaki flowered shirt.
like a what do you call these guys? Like a tourist.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it was interesting because I got to.
Can I ask how much you're being paid? You don't have to share numbers if I've gone too personal.
At that time, I worked there for 2 years. I think by the time I started, I was at 150, and I think by the time I left, I was at 200. Yes.
No,
one something. No, that was gross.
Okay.
But the perks were good.
I know, I get it. You know, the reason why I'm asking this, why I've asked, one, you've been sharing your numbers, but for me, and we're going to come back to the Carnivore story, we've just started it, but for me, it's so important that people understand progression and incremental additions as you gain more experience, as you do more, and that's what your story says. I mean, there's a time you're at zero bob, you couldn't even afford.
But let me tell you the thing about this money going up. You don't chase the money going up. You chase the opportunity going up. By this I mean, you see, when I wanted to get into Carnivore, I couldn't get in because one of the major reasons was I didn't have media experience. But then see, I had an opportunity to get the media experience. So I went into the media experience knowing that this now will help me to get into Carnivore. So at that point, I don't know what I'll be paid at Carnivore. But you see, if the path is right, the money will be right.
Yeah. tunaweza ishia. I get.
Yeah. So even by the time I was getting into Carnivore, I think number one, probably they had done their research and they knew what I was making at Capital. But more importantly, it was a growth path for me. From Capital to Carnivore. And when I was at Carnivore, then I interacted with sponsors in a different way. You see, when I was at Capital, I interacted with sponsors on mostly a radio, from the radio point of view, and on ground also a bit. But with that on ground, we'd still be the ones now going to find where are we executing this thing on behalf of the client. Now I'm at Carnivore where all executions have to be here. So now it's about how do I attract capital to come and execute that thing here. But see, I know what they want to execute, so I know what to tell them to come here. You get
the experience.
So at that time, we I don't know if they're still there. I doubt they're still there. We used to have the monthly cultural nights that were sponsored by Safaricom and were a partnership with Royal Media. Because Royal Media has all these stations that cater for all these different...
Royal FM and the rest.
Yeah. So we used to end up now partnering with Citizen TV and this radio station. Citizen TV and this radio station.
And whose concept is it at this time?
I found it there.
Oh, you found it there?
I found it there. I don't know who came up with it, but I found it there.
Okay.
One concept that I also found there that I really respected was New Jack Swing. So there's a story told about New Jack Swing. And this one you have to give credit to the late Lona Irungu and how tenacious she was. And also you have to give credit to Tamarind management, the directors, and how open and willing they were to try new things. So Lona Irungu when she went into Carnivore, she had this idea of an old school night, New Jack Swing. So they created New Jack Swing and they started running it. So the story goes that for like 6 months, she had been given, I think initially she had been given 3 months to make it work. So for those 3 months, it didn't really work. There were people, yes, but it didn't really work. Then she begged for an extension. She was given an extension of another 3 months. So in total, 6 months. Yani, it was still not working out. You know, when they were about to cut it off, she pushed. She was given one more chance. And in the 7th month,
explosion.
New Jack, like this. And it grew.
Okay, just so that people can understand, the whole reason why places like Carnivore are doing these events is because Carnivore's core product is to sell food and drinks.
Yes.
So by doing an event like New Jack, you invite a certain demographic to come, maybe pay a bit of entrance, but that's not even the core.
Yes.
The core is the amount of money they're going to spend at this buying drinks and food.
Yes. So now one of the jobs that we used to do, initially you're called for some meetings and you're like, this meeting has nothing to do with me. But then you realize later that the reason why you're in that meeting is to understand the audience. So now you start understanding the different audiences of Carnivore, and now you start creating products for each one of them.
So New Jack Swing is just one product.
New Jack Swing was just one product. So you start now creating products for different people, and at the same time also you have to keep up with what the industry is doing. Unfortunately, during my time, there was a lot of pubs popping up where there's no entrance fee, and people wanted to explore. So you'd still find people would still come to Carnivore, but they would still hop here and there.
So the going out culture was changing.
The going out culture was changing, yeah.
And just to do a TBT right here, I remember me when I was in, I think high school. Wednesday night, rock night, Carnivore, probably the biggest night of my life as a kid. But then you go straight to rock night and you spend the whole night there, as compared to how guys go out this day.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I was at Carnivore, I used to have, so I learned at some point, because I would pass that security barrier, and then by the time I get to the main gate, then especially when there were a lot of people at Carnivore and the parking was full, then as managers there's a place that we used to park somewhere on the side. So it took me some time to understand why I would pass the barrier, the first barrier.
Yeah.
Then as soon as I pass the main gate, there's a guard already telling me to go to that inside part. So it so happened that as managers we had code names with security. So until I had it, that's when I understood it. So I passed the barrier, then I hear a guard saying, Echo Mike incoming. So Echo Mike is entertainment manager. So by the time I get in, then I'm told, today you have to go and park on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah. My point being, Carnivore was very organized. Carnivore was very organized. Carnivore Carnivore used to take care of, or rather Carnivore still does take care of its staff well. Like, very good relations with the directors. Mr. Misumi is that guy who you go to him with an idea and he would listen to you and he would ask you, so what do you need to execute it? How long do you think we give it for it to work? So there are a lot of those theme nights that we used to try out there. Being called in, one thing I appreciated at Carnivore was management. By management, I mean this. So number one, as a manager, you get access to information. By information, I mean numbers. Remember when I was talking about Ogopa even, I was telling you about feedback and data being very important.
Yep.
Data was important. When you come in as a manager, every morning, there are 2 books you have to read and sign. Every manager has to do that at Carnivore. I don't know if it's still the same. So number one, you have to sign the management book. The management book has a summary of last night written by the manager on duty on that night. Sometimes it used to be me, so I'd write there.
Yeah.
But every manager has to read that. Then number 2, you have to read.
So that's the kind of amount of drinks that sold. This drink sold this much.
Even in terms of
people,
if there was any incident that happened.
Okay.
Number 2, you'd also now read the security book. So it would also give you a summary of security. The important thing was, because these people who've closed the night are at home when you guys are getting in.
I get.
So you have a very pretty clear idea of what happened last night. So in case anyone or anything is supposed to be followed up.
Yes.
But also it shows you numbers. And then because you have that book, then you can go back to check last month on a similar night.
Was this a habit? Is it a repeat? Is it this night? Yeah.
What numbers did we do? Then the second thing is we also used to get access to the reports. So there was a system we'd go into, and it's something that you end up being questioned as entertainment manager. So for example, you're told last month you had 1,000 people during this night. This month you had 1,500, but your average spend here is lower than here. Why? So you have to figure out, is there something that you did that then took the quality of the audience
down.
Lower?
Yeah.
So that now they're spending less.
Yeah.
But also you start questioning, were there issues reported in terms of maybe because there were many people, the bars were stretched, the people at the bar were stretched. So it's a learning for next time.
Increase
set up
staff.
more
Yes,
bars,
exactly.
Staff, you know, that kind of.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of that at Carnivore.
Yo, it's really good to hear that they go into that level. You know, these are the behind the scenes working. Fakii, I want to ask you, for somebody who may not, you see, me and you are having a conversation because Carnivore is legendary in our lives.
Yeah.
It's been there.
Yeah.
But for somebody watching who may not understand the history and the importance of Carnivore to this country, what's the Jungu called? Is it Donovan? No, Danford. Yes, I had a sit down with Danford because they bought Kengeles, the Tamarind Group, and I was telling him, Yani, you're being thugged like left, right, and center. I'm trying to help you, and he was explaining to me. It was a very interesting conversation that I had with him. Thank you, David Moredi, for that plug, by the way. But I want you to explain to somebody about the history of Carnivore from your understanding.
So from my understanding, Carnivore is actually the second major property that they got into.
The first one, you mean who?
The
Tamarind Group.
The Tamarind Group.
Yeah.
The first one was in Mombasa.
The Tamarind Dao.
Tamarind. I think even before the Tamarind Dao was the Tamarind restaurant in Mombasa.
Oh, okay.
Then of course later on they got into even the apartments.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But I believe Carnivore came up in the 80s, and so that you know how good an employer Carnivore is, a lot of staff work there for so many years. They either stop working there because they've retired or because they've passed on. Like you work there for good, you know. But I'll tell you why for entertainment it was hard to do that. But for the rest of the staff, because the management were very particular about staff welfare. Let me give you an example. It may look like a small thing, but for me, it's one of the things that I'll always remember. You know, when you go to a restaurant and then you leave, then when you're paying your bill, you leave a tip. Now the tip goes to the waiter who served you.
Yes, yes.
But who made that food?
The chef.
Yeah.
So why you're the front facing?
Yeah.
Does that mean this guy doesn't get a cut?
In many restaurants they don't. But here's what Carnivore does. At least it used to do. I assume it's still the same right now.
Yeah.
So when you look at your bill at Carnivore, there's VAT, then there is I think training levy or something, the one that goes to Utalii College or something. And then there is a 10% service charge. By the way, it's a you can say you don't want to pay that service charge. You can say you don't want to pay, but it's there in the bill. What happens in the Carnivore system is this.